to do this and do that. The second time, the Venerable Ananda said to the Venerable Mahakassapa, "Come, Venerable Kassapa, let us go to the nuns' quarters." "You go, friend Ananda, you are the busy one with many duties." The third time, the Venerable Ananda said to the Venerable Mahakassapa, "Come, Venerable Kassapa, let us go to the nuns' quarters." Then in the morning, the Venerable Mahakassapa dressed and taking bowl and robe, went to the nuns' quarters with the Venerable Ananda as his companion. So stop here for a moment. You see, so here, Venerable Kassapa, even though he didn't want to go, but because Venerable Ananda asked him 3 times, then only he complied. When he arrived, he sat down on the appointed seat. Then a number of nuns approached the Venerable Mahakassapa, paid homage to him and sat down to one side. As they were sitting there, the Venerable Mahakassapa instructed, exhorted, inspired and gladdened those nuns with the Dhamma talk, after which he rose from his seat and departed. Then the nun Tulatissa, being displeased, expressed her displeasure thus: How can Master Mahakassapa think of speaking the Dhamma in the presence of Master Ananda, the Videhan sage? For Master Kassapa to think of speaking on the Dhamma in the presence of Master Ananda, the Videhan sage, this is just as if a needle peddler would think he could sell a needle to a needle maker. I'll stop here for a moment. So this nun, Tulatissa, she was a fan of this Venerable Ananda. He thought highly of Venerable Ananda, but didn't like Venerable Mahakassapa. Later you see why. Because Venerable Mahakassapa is one of those monks who are very blunt. Doesn't speak ing siu hua, doesn't speak sweet words. Very to the point. Sometimes so much to. Sometimes it hurts people. It's very blunt. So Venerable Ananda is different. Venerable Ananda is very popular with a lot of women. It's like a very gentleman type. Very. So this nun says, Master Ananda is supposed to be the most knowledgeable on the Dhamma. Because Venerable Ananda is a personal attendant of the Buddha. So wherever the Buddha goes, Venerable Ananda is the one who is with the Buddha most of the time. The second half of the Buddha's ministry. So he has heard most of the suttas more than other monks. So because of that, this nun thought this Venerable Ananda should be the Dhamma preacher, not Venerable Kassapa. So she passed a nasty remark. He said, just like a needle peddler, a person selling needle want to sell the needle to the needle factory. The Venerable Mahakassapa overheard the nun Tulatissa making this statement, and he said to the Venerable Ananda, "How is it, friend Ananda? Am I the needle peddler and you the needle maker, or am I the needle maker and you the needle peddler?" And then Venerable Ananda was very embarrassed. I said, "Be patient, Venerable Kassapa. Women are foolish." And then, so you stop here for a moment. You see, this Venerable Mahakassapa, because his psychic powers were very great. He said somewhere else, I said, his psychic power is so great that he cannot hide his psychic power. To hide his psychic power, it would be like a big elephant trying to hide behind a coconut tree. He gave an example somewhere else. So maybe because of his great psychic power, when this nun uttered this statement, immediately he could hear. He got the heavenly ear. He even can hear ghosts speaking. Why can't he hear the nun speaking? So you see the statement he made to the Venerable Ananda, very blunt. He said, "Friend Ananda, are you the needle peddler or am I the needle peddler?" So then after Ananda said, "Be patient," and he said, "Hold it, friend Ananda. Don't give the Sangha occasion to investigate you further." Stop here for a moment. However, is it? Don't give the Sangha occasion to investigate you further. This must have been the time after the Buddha passed away. Because when the Buddha passed away, the Arahants, 500 Arahants, held a meeting to repeat exactly what the Buddha taught so that they can agree on the words of the Buddha as far as the Suttas and the Vinaya are concerned. And after that, they taught other monks to memorize according to this standard format. So on that first Sangha meeting, when the 500 Arahants met, they took the opportunity to criticize Ananda. Why? Because they said, because of a few things. The Buddha did not want to form the order of nuns, And the Venerable Ananda pleaded with the Buddha 3 times to form the order of nuns. And the Buddha, usually after 3 times, he will accede. But in this case, even 3 times the Buddha refused. And Venerable Ananda was very stubborn. After that, he pleaded with the Buddha, quoting this Mahapajapati, this lady, the foster mother of the Buddha, who asked the Buddha to start the order of nuns. He said, Venerable Ananda said, this is not an ordinary woman. When your mother died, she looked after you like her own son and all these things. You owe a lot to her. So because of all that, then the Buddha allowed the order of nuns to form. So that was one of the things they found fault with Venerable Ananda. So that's why I say they investigate him. So here this Venerable Kassapa is giving him a warning. Don't give the Sangha occasion to investigate you some more. What do you think, friend Ananda? Was it you that the Blessed One brought forward in the presence of the Bhikkhu Sangha, saying, monks, to whatever extent I wish, secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, I enter and dwell in the first jhana, which is accompanied by thought, directed and sustained with delight and happiness born of seclusion. Ananda too, to whatever extent he wishes, secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, enters and dwells in the first jhana. So you see, it's a bit sarcastic here. The Buddha says, Kassapa too can enter and dwell in this, but he says, did the Buddha say Ananda too can dwell in the first jhana? So Venerable Ananda said, no, Venerable Sir. I was the one friend that the Blessed One brought forward in the presence of the monk Sangha, saying, monks, to whatever extent I wish, I enter and dwell in the first jhana. Kassapa too, to whatever extent he wishes, enters and dwells in the first jhana. And similarly, he quoted on the rest of the other attainments which the Buddha said, he can attain and so can Venerable Kassapa. I was the one friend that the Blessed One brought forward in the presence of the Bhikkhu Sangha, saying, monks, by the destruction of the asavas in this very life, I enter and dwell in the taintless liberation by mind, liberation by wisdom, realizing it for myself with direct knowledge. Kassapa too, by the destruction of the asavas in this very life, enters and dwells in the taintless liberation by mind, liberation by wisdom, realizing it for himself with direct knowledge. Friend, one might just as well think that a bull elephant 7 or 7.5 cubits high could be concealed by a palm leaf, as think that my 6 direct knowledges could be concealed. Then the nun Tulatissa fell away from the holy life. That means she eventually disrobed. So actually it's very silly for her, because knowing that this Venerable Mahakassapa is an Arahant, he should not be critical of Arahant. So because she got bad karma, she cannot wear the robe long and disrobe. So you see the way Venerable Mahakassapa speaks is very blunt. You're not used to him and you don't know that he's an Arahant. You get annoyed with him. Maybe I can go one more sutta. 16.11. On one occasion, the Venerable Kassapa was dwelling in Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. On that occasion, the Venerable Ananda was wandering on tour in Dakshinagiri together with a large sangha of monks. On that occasion, 30 monks, pupils of the Venerable Ananda, most of them youngsters, had given up the training and had returned to the lower life. Stop here for a moment. That means 30 monk disciples of Venerable Ananda had disrobed. Venerable Ananda brought them, brought a large group of monks touring around. When the Venerable Ananda had wandered on tour in Dakshinagiri as long as he wanted, he came back to Rajagaha, to the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. He approached the Venerable Kassapa, paid homage to him and sat down to one side. And the Venerable Kassapa said to him, "Friend Ananda, for how many reasons did the Blessed One lay down the rule that monks should not take meals among families in groups of more than 3? Stop here for a moment. You see, there is a Vinaya rule that the Buddha laid down that monks should, when they go on alms round, generally should not you should not have more than 3 monks on alms round, because you have too many monks on alms round. When lay people come to give food, they find so many monks, they find it difficult to give to so many monks. If they can't give to all the monks, they may feel a bit embarrassed. So the Buddha asked the monks to go on alms round, generally 3 groups of 3 or less, not more than 3. And then Venerable Ananda said, "The Blessed One laid down this rule for 3 reasons, Venerable Kassapa: for restraining ill-behaved persons and for the comfort of well-behaved monks, with the intention, may those of evil wishes, by forming a faction, not create a schism in the Sangha, and out of sympathy towards families. It is for these 3 reasons, Venerable Kassapa, that the Blessed One laid down this rule." So here he says there are 3 reasons. One is, I mentioned just now, our sympathy towards families, not making it difficult for them. Second one, for restraining ill-behaved persons. That means the monks, if there are too many of them, they tend to misbehave. And for the comfort of well-behaved monks, may those of evil wishes not create. You see, when you have a group of 4 monks or more than 4 monks, is considered a Sangha. So when you have too many monks living together, if there's a disagreement and they break up, then you may have more than 4 monks on one side and more than 4 monks on the other side. If this happens, this is called a schism. And when a schism happens, whoever caused that schism creates the most heavy karma, one of the 5 heaviest karmas. He must go down to hell. So that's why the Buddha says, for the comfort of well-behaved monks, so that they don't have a schism. Then Venerable Kassapa said, "Then why, friend Ananda, are you wandering about with these young monks who are unguarded in their sense faculties, immoderate in eating, and not devoted to wakefulness? One would think you were wandering about trampling on crops. One would think you were wandering about destroying families. Your retinue is breaking up, friend Ananda. Your young followers are slipping away, but still this youngster does not know his measure." And Venerable Ananda said, "Grey hairs are growing on my head, Venerable Kassapa. Can't we escape being called a youngster by the Venerable Kassapa?" Stop here for a moment. So here, Venerable Kassapa is in a way like scolding Venerable Ananda, saying, "You are bringing all these young monks who don't know how to guard their sense faculties. They are not moderate in eating. They are not devoted to wakefulness. That means they are not practicing very hard. And going around trampling other people's crops, people's veggie and all that. And you are destroying families, meaning you are making it very difficult for families to support the monks, because you have such a big group of monks, maybe a few hundred. So he also said, yeah, your group is breaking up. Your young fellows are slipping away. And then he called Venerable Ananda, this youngster